Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex P. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys for Wednesday, October 16th. Ian Cameron and Alex B. Smith with you. We will be joined, as we always are on Wednesdays this season, by Larry Fisher from Power Play Sportsbook for the Betting Man Advantage segment in just a few minutes. But we're here and we're ready to break down the Wednesday NHL slate. 4 games on tap for this Wednesday. First, we'll look back at a very busy, very hectic Tuesday night. And the only place we can start is in Columbus, Ohio. And just I'll tell you what, I don't want to make it sound like they had to put on a show. It's not about putting on a show. It's not about entertainment. We're talking about a man losing his life. We're talking about a human being that tragically passed away. But it also felt to me like this was an opportunity for the Columbus Blue Jackets organization to step up and show what they're all about. And how could they encapsulate the life of Johnny Gaudreau? How could they portray it? And how would they unfurl, if you will, this ceremony and this tribute to Johnny Gaudreau last night? And sure enough, I don't think they could have done any better. It was absolutely phenomenal, right from the opening, right from the pregame show on the local broadcast for the Jackets, where they did this 30-minute pregame with players' recollections and stories about Johnny, some old clips of Johnny Gaudreau speaking in interviews, which really got to me when I saw some of those. It's just you really get a glimpse of just what an easygoing person he was. He loved life, loved playing hockey, always wanted to be jovial and in good spirits, good mood, crack jokes, have fun, share some laughs. This is the kind of person Johnny seemed to be. Didn't want any negativity in his life. Didn't want to be angry. Didn't want to be, upset. Didn't want to have any hate in his heart. That kind of person. And it's evident to me that's kind of the way he lived life, for sure. With that, when I saw that pregame tribute to him. And then the ceremony was just great. It was raising the banner. What they did on the opening faceoff was just it was a beautiful touch, really. They ticked the clock down 13 seconds. Of course, Johnny Gaudreau's number 13. So the game actually started with the opening faceoff with 19:47 left in the first period. 13 seconds elapsed. Just a very, very beautiful scene. And then the game started, and they could tell early in that game the players had to warm up to play in an NHL game because it did kind of have that slow, sluggish start. But it definitely became a very entertaining and a very competitive game as it went along. It's kind of hit or miss for me with the betting results, but to me, I think that's, whatever. That shouldn't be the focus. The focus should be obviously what happened with Johnny Gaudreau and the great tribute. Columbus ends up on the short end of a 4-3 defeat to the Florida Panthers. Although I thought they played well enough to win. I think they outplayed Florida for a decent chunk of that game. But give Spencer Knight credit. Made some key saves. Florida held the fort at the end. One of the great moments of the game, obviously, was Sean Monahan, who was as close to Johnny Gaudreau as anybody. It almost felt like it had to happen. When we talked about that on the show yesterday, had to happen that he had to score. Just felt like it was meant to be. And he scores that goal for Columbus, which gave them the lead at the time. And then sure enough, he points to the banner up in the rafters, the Johnny Gaudreau banner that was put up there right before the opening faceoff. Just a wonderful scene there. And like I said, Florida with the 4-3 win, but it was still a victory of other sorts for the Columbus Blue Jackets, a victory for the organization and the absolute first-class display that they put on to pay homage to their fallen teammate, Johnny Gaudreau. Alex, I can't say anything more than that other than that. Well done. A+ by the Jackets last night.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, just a very touching tribute. Like I said, moments just throughout the game. But like I said, the ceremony before game was fantastic, and all the different, like I said, memories and stuff that was captured in the pregame. I watched all of that, and then like I said, to see Monahan's goal, that was just really touching and moving too. Like I said, at a critical point, it just felt like he was going to score. And he said, Columbus, they played their asses off in that game, and that's the thing. The effort's going to be there. That obviously in these tough moments, they're going to persevere and play their best effort. And Dean Evason wouldn't allow anything less, of course. But like I said, it's just tough to see them ultimately lose and come up short in that game. You would love to see that team and that fan base celebrate a victory amongst having that kind of an emotional night. But give them credit for playing hard and like I said, not getting swallowed up in the moment, because that can happen at times too. When you have a moment like this, that would have been understandable as well. If they've gotten blown out 8-0, 9-0, that would have been just as understandable as if we saw them grind out a 5-4 win. Considering what all they've been through. But like I said, well done by everybody in Columbus for sure.
Yeah, no question. It was a beautiful tribute last night, no question. Other results we saw last night in the NHL will be brief so we can get to Larry and the betting man advantage. But Carolina with a 4-2 win against New Jersey. Vancouver still winless. That was Vasilevsky at his best last night. He was tremendous. I don't think Vancouver had a bad first period. I didn't mind their second and their third period. I thought they played better, and they played close to even, I thought, with Tampa as the game went on. But not even as far as goaltending. Vasilevsky, brilliant, and that's a great sign for the Lightning in this 2-0 start. He's looked sharp in both games, like a revitalized version of Vasi, and a 4-1 win for Tampa. Shout out to Washington and Alex, who took the Capitals. Logan Thompson revenge game, if you will, and the Capitals get a nice 4-2 win over the Golden Knights. Minnesota 4-1 against St. Louis. A dismal effort from the Blues for their home opener. Credit to Minnesota, injuries, and they found a way to get the job done, played a solid road game, and the highlight being Philip Gustafson with the goalie goal. I don't see many of them. I think it's only the sixth in the last decade that we have seen, and Philip Gustafson, beautiful shot, too. Right down and, just right off his stick, and it went right into the back of the net. Always cool to see that, and, of course, the Wild teammates just serenading him after that game for that moment. Dallas 3-2 over San Jose in a shootout. I had a feeling, I said, stay away from that game, and I'm glad that I did. I said all along that I thought that it could be one of those games where Dallas team total doesn't hit and San Jose's not good enough to win the game. Because I was leaning either, do I take Dallas team total over? Can they get to 4 goals? Do I take a shot with San Jose? It could be a sleepy spot for Dallas. I was considering both of those yesterday morning. I didn't touch either one, and I'm a better man for it, because neither one would have cashed. And I figured it could be one of those 3-1, 3-2 type of deals for Dallas. Sure enough, that's exactly how it ended there. Seattle 7-3. How about Nashville now 0-3, and it's actually looking worse for them with each passing game. Not what they expected with all these new changes and all these players they brought in, but a 7-3 victory for the Seattle Kraken. That over by trifecta, I actually grabbed a first period both teams to score. I didn't mention it on the show, but I bet it small as well before the game. First period both teams to score, but the over by fecta is what I officially gave out on the show, the over 1.5 first period, over full game. I'm starting to track this now, Alex. This could become a thing, because I remember Toronto got shut out by Montreal 1-0, and then the next night they exploded offensively. First period went, the full game stayed under actually, but the first period went over, and there were a bunch of chances for the full game to go over. I'm definitely going to keep track of this trend. Teams off a shutout loss, first period over, full game over in the next game. How well does it do? And obviously both of those teams, Seattle and Nashville, coming off a shutout loss going into the game last night. Seattle was shut out by Dallas. Nashville was shut out by Detroit. And sure enough, the goals explode last night. So I'm going to track both situations moving forward. When both teams that playing each other are off a shutout loss, and also the record of the first period and full game over when just one of the two teams is coming off a shutout loss. I'm going to track that moving forward and see how well it does. I have a feeling it's going to be a winning angle, profitable angle. First period, full game overs, teams coming off a shutout loss. I really, truly think you're going to be able to make money with that kind of an angle moving forward. Certainly did that last night with Seattle, Nashville. Dustin Wolf, we know there's some talent there. We know there's a potential future for him as a number one goalie. We saw a little shade of that last night. He was very solid and a nice 3-1 win for the Calgary Flames. And the Edmonton Oilers, winless no more. They come back 4-3 in overtime. Jack Michaels, the great TV and radio voice of the Oilers, said it. I'm going to say it. If you don't think fighting matters in hockey, you need your head examined. The moment those two fights happened, Couturier with Stetcher, Perry as well with, I think it was Farabee. Yeah, Perry and Farabee. That changed the complete emotion of the game. Okay, Edmonton woke up at that point. Those two fights got Edmonton's juices flowing. And from that point on, they looked like the Oilers of last year for the very first time. They didn't look like it against Calgary. They didn't look like it in the previous games. Winnipeg, when they got shut out, they didn't really look like the Edmonton team we saw a lot last year down the stretch until those two fights happened in the third period. And then all of a sudden, McDavid's skating and Draisaitl's making things happen. Evan Bouchard ties the game, and of course, they get the overtime winner. The emotion stirred among the Edmonton Oilers team from those two scraps changed the complexion of the game, and you can't convince me otherwise. And you can't convince me fighting doesn't matter or can't impact a hockey game. We saw that, to me, on full display last night, and Edmonton gets their first win of the season, beating the Philadelphia Flyers by a score of 4-3. Larry's waiting in the wings. We'll get to him in just a moment, but first, Alex, your thoughts on the rest of the Tuesday slate.
No, yeah, you made a perfect point about those two fights changing the momentum of the game, and sure enough, it was maybe moments after that where I went on and bet Edmonton plus 210 live on the money line and cash that, get that tie and end up getting the win in overtime. But like you said, that's a huge momentum swinger, and that's the reason why this fight. One of the many reasons why fighting belongs in hockey. Like you said, in that first fight, they hit Skinner, the goalie, and you had to answer for that. So there was a fight to be had, and then you had another fight after that. Like you said, to kind of get the momentum teetering back and forth. So great point, and that was just a fun game to watch for sure. And then you mentioned Dustin Wolf making some huge saves. Hawks didn't look bad at all late in that contest. They were firing off shots left and right, had tons of chances, but Dustin Wolf was just closing the door. So a big 3-1 win for Calgary there in that game. And then, of course, Minnesota and St. Louis. This Blues team, I thought there was going to be a lot more offensive firepower. I thought they were going to be able to kind of navigate their way better offensively. That's not the case, and Minnesota looked good at both ends of the ice. Like I said, even with the injuries being had, and obviously always nice to see a goalie getting a goal. Philip Gustafson with a nice shot. Like I said, right off the stick, it was great too seeing Marc-Andre Fleury, his reaction. He had the biggest smile in the world as always, and everybody cheering him on. So and Gustafson's reaction too in the post game, he was in the interview on ESPN. He's just like, he really, truly, you could tell, had never thought in his mind that he'd ever have a chance to score a goal. Like it was just truly evident. He just, took that one opportunity. And they said Fleury was the one who gave him the idea to do it. So kudos to him for getting that done. So those are the key points from last night for me.
No doubt. Very entertaining Tuesday night in the NHL for sure. And by the way, that moment with Gustafson, great moment. Just the icing on the cake and the exclamation point of that great moment was the great call that went with it too from Bob Wischusen. Again, that he's got so much Gary Thorne in him, Bob Wischusen. Outstanding job as always with him. Great moment there with Philip Gustafson, obviously getting that goalie goal, no doubt about that. All right, let's turn our attention to Wednesday's card. And as we do after the recap on Wednesday's show moving forward each and every week, it is that time to bring on our friend Larry Fisher from Power Play Sportsbook for the betting man advantage.
This segment is brought to you by Power Play. Discover Canada's top-rated sportsbook. Enjoy same-game parlays, player props, and more. Raise your game. Join Power Play today. Remember to always bet responsibly. Sportsbook not available in the United States. Must be 19 or older and to play. Gambling problem? In Ontario, call 1-888-230-3505. That's 1-888-230-3505.
All right, it is time for the betting man advantage each and every Wednesday right here on the Ice Guys show. Larry Fisher from Power Play Sportsbook joins us. Larry, how are you?
Doing good, guys. Thanks for having me back. I thought maybe I'd be one and done after that shameful debut last week. But hey, we were just a couple games early on that same game parlay. If we put that same one together last night, it actually would have hit on Oilers over Flyers, or Oilers to beat the Flyers over 6.5 goals. Draisaitl, the anytime goal scorer, and even Victor Arvidsson hit the two shots last night. So not so good last week when we were recommending it against Winnipeg, and obviously Edmonton laid an egg and lost 6-0. But they bounced back last night, like you said, and that same game parlay for last night would have hit. But as you know, we celebrate our wins and we own our losses. So definitely we have to take our lumps from week one of the betting man advantage. But great to see as far as celebrating wins go. love to see the bargain bin specials hit last night for
Yes.
Alex and Matt with Nick Foligno and Ty Dellandrea. That was awesome. Those are long shots, and you love to see 2 out of 3 in the same night. So congrats to you guys on a successful day yesterday.
And you know what, Larry, is great about those 2 bargain bin specials cashing in. There were great angles that went with it. There's no doubt. When you look at Ty Dellandrea against his former team, the Dallas Stars, a little extra onus to have a big, make an impact in some form. And sure enough, he did that. No question. That was as high as 10-1. I snagged a 10-1 with Ty Dellandrea. And again, thanks to the great Bet Stamp app, you can shop around. You can find the best price with anything you want to bet. And sure enough, yeah, that was and even at other books, it was 800, 900. Alex had Nick Foligno up on the top line for Chicago. He got their only goal last night in the game against Calgary. That was plus 400 or better. So outstanding to see 2 bargain bin. It's been dry, Canada dry, if you will, with the bargain bin special early in the season. So to get 2 of them to cash last night was really, really good. Larry, let's jump into what you like here on the Wednesday card. I know you've got some straight bets you like. You did put a couple SGPs together, and you do have a bargain bin special and a best bet, of course, for this Wednesday slate. So we'll start with the we'll do the we'll do the single straight bets that you like here on this card. What do you like here tonight for Wednesday?
Yeah, as far as straights go, I think I actually parlayed them together as well. But I think that the team total over 3.5 for both the Leafs and the Avalanche, the odds aren't great, but I think those are almost locked in that Toronto and Colorado are putting up 4 or more goals tonight. I also really like the Leafs.
One thing I'll jump in to say about the Toronto bet that you made, the team total over, and we'll get to this when we go in depth, Alex and I, with the Kings and the Leafs. Big Civ Dave in net, David Riddick. Now, I will get to that more in depth. Part of me thinks he can get, well, of course he can get lit up. He's usually not that great, right? But he's also against his old team, Toronto Maple Leafs. And I could see funny, queasy feeling in the pit of my gut as that guy makes like 36 saves and 1 or 2 goals allowed, which he's capable of doing every now and then, but you just don't see it often enough. So that's my one little fear. But all things being equal, I have more doubts than, faith that David Riddick's going to be great tonight. So I understand where you're going there, Larry, with that.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the first time the Leafs got goalied this season. Obviously, last week I scrambled for a best bet and actually took the Leafs puck line in Montreal, and obviously Samuel Montembeault put up a 37 save shutout and blanked him. So I'm back on the Leafs bandwagon this week. I also the big save Dave factor, like you said. I think this game, the first period will be very telling as to whether it's going to be a high scoring game or maybe big save Dave Riddick sort of shuts the door and it's not high scoring. But as far as single straight bets, I do like the Leafs Kings first period total over 2.5. I think we're going to see some goals in that first period.
That's a good plus price. Yep.
Yeah, it's at plus 220. So yeah, I like that for the first period over 2.5. And then as far as the actual same game parlay from that game, I built one out again. And again, I don't love the odds on this one, but Toronto to win over 6.5. I have Matthews as the anytime goal scorer. He's 0 for 3. Third time wasn't the charm this season, but I can't see him going 4 games without a goal to start the year. I think Matthews wearing the C for Toronto. He's starting to feel the pressure a bit. This is a home game, a big showcase, especially without Drew Doughty. I think Los Angeles' defense isn't the same. I don't have a ton of faith in David Rittich, so I think this is the night that Austin Matthews gets on the board. I have Toronto over the Kings at over 6.5. Matthews as the anytime goal scorer, and Matthews also at 3+ shots on a $20 wager. It only pays $82. But if you're really feeling Matthews with the hot hand tonight, if you pump that up, the exact same game parlay, but you put Matthews at 2+ goals, you want him to score twice, it would be a $20 bet would pay $140, which still doesn't seem that much when you need somebody to score twice and have 3 shots. But nonetheless,
Larry, jump in for a second and say one thing about that thought process there. I think, look, he's going to score eventually. If you like Matthews to score eventually, go for the gusto. Yeah. Right. Bet him to score 2 goals. Bet him to score a hat trick. He scores in bunches, this guy. Like, it's really uncanny the last few years when he scores, especially when he's been in a slump. A lot of the times when he busts out of an 8-game, 10-game scoring slump, whatever it is, he often scores 2 or more in the game that he busts out of the slump. So I think it's one of those deals where if you really think tonight's the night Matthews finds it and gets off the schneid, bet those 2-3 goals and hat trick prop maybe.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I do think he's due tonight, and then the other parlays, the couple parlays I put together. I mentioned the Leafs and Avs at team total over 3.5. If you pair those together as a parlay, so Toronto and Colorado, both going 4+ goals tonight, $20 bet would give you a $93 payout on power play. I feel like that's almost I don't want to say it's a lock, but for not financial advice, but for me, that's almost a lock that Colorado and Toronto are going to hit 4 goals tonight.
Well, Colorado has had no issue scoring. It's been defending. Yeah.
Exactly. And then actually all 4 games tonight, I think could, especially if you temper expectations and go over 5.5 instead of over 6.5. I think all 4 games on the Wednesday slate are a good bet to be total over 5.5. And a $20 bet on power play would give you $130.73 potential payout. That's with a 7.5% parlay boost factored in there as well. But I like a lot of goals tonight on the NHL slate.
There are a few that I do think we see offense. I agree there. Now tell us about this over 5.5. That you've been studying this, and because obviously, look, we know a lot of the totals are 6.5, but obviously in this day and age with various sports books, you can bet alternative totals, and you can get them down to 5.5, and you can put them in parlays, or you can bet them straight and just get lay more obviously with 5.5, but you can get the totals down to 5.5 in every game. You've got a stat, Larry, that I saw in the notes there that you had about how over 5.5s have done so far this year. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I sort of started tracking this last season. I felt like I always lean towards betting the over on a lot of games, but I obviously didn't bet every single game as the over last year. But as I was following it, I was like, you could almost bet every single game over 5.5 and you come out ahead, at least to American Thanksgiving. I think it's high scoring those first couple months, and then it sort of tails off, especially coming out of the holiday break. Everybody's systems are dialed in, the goaltenders are in. You're starting to fine tune towards playoff hockey. I think the scoring comes down, especially coming out it towards, the All-Star break, trade deadline, that finishing stretch. I don't think I'm as confident betting the over, but early on in the season, I felt it's a good experiment or a good case study. So I've been betting over 5.5 on every game, plan on continuing to do it through American Thanksgiving just to track it. And so far, 30 of 53 games have been over 5.5. So just 7 games above 500 there. That's not counting the 2 global series games in Europe, which actually were both under. So you can say 30 of 55 to date through last night's action.
30 of 53 North American games, we can say.
Exactly, yeah.
And that's something that's interesting, because normally this time of year, we've been talking about this, where we tend to see higher scoring starts usually in October, like you said, because goaltending and defensive units aren't quite gelled and ready yet. But this year, we've definitely seen some lower scoring starts. So where that 5.5 shift, you can actually start looking maybe even the other way and going and looking at unders with 6.5s or unders with 7s to parlay and kind of combine, because we're seeing an awfully lower scoring output so far in the first kind of week and a half than what we're accustomed to sometimes at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, for sure. Especially with a guy like Vasilevsky, like I said, looks like he's in Vezina form already in the first couple of games. So yeah, some of the goaltenders are shining early on as well. Which, like I said, you'd expect it to be a little more high scoring. Lots of power plays early in the season too. Special teams are such a big factor that they tend to call the game quite a bit tighter in the early stages. Maybe guys aren't up to speed, game speed yet, so there's a little bit more clutching and grabbing, getting some obstruction calls, and some of those power plays obviously we know are lethal. So. I think you're still going to see a high scoring first couple months, and definitely I lean towards the over through American Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that's a great timeline. I find it's around that same time too, late November, December. And then there's another period, I think, after the trade deadline where sometimes it actually gets a little lower scoring as well. And that's usually the periods every year where you do see maybe the goals drop off just a little bit. We're going to get to Larry's bargain bin special of the night and his best bet for this Wednesday card in just a moment. But apparently Larry's got an update about how people can get involved with a Power Play Sportsbook as far as getting involved. What's the update with that?
Yeah, I know we talked last week about a potential promo code or something along those lines, but we are going to have an affiliate program with the Ice Guys, which is exciting. So everybody that comes from the Ice Guys to the Power Play Sportsbook, it's going to be a win-win for everyone involved. We're going to make sure the players are well taken care of, as well as a bit of a kickback for the Ice Guys for all their support in this partnership with Power Play. So we're definitely excited to be one of the official books of the Ice Guys, and partnering up for the Betting Man Advantage, but just in general supporting the show and having such a good community here. I just read the comments as we're going, and it's awesome to see like the passion. And every time I read the comments, I'm nodding my head with a lot of what the community's saying. So we got a lot of smart, sharp bettors here in the Ice Guys community, and looking forward to welcoming them to Power Play as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll have that link set up and ready, and that'll be on the Patreon page, as well as also our link.
We'll put it in the YouTube video description in every show, including today.
Right,
I'm going to put that link in the YouTube video description after we finish the show today. Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, so everybody will be able to sign up for that in Canada, and definitely.
And again, sign up, please do it. Especially Canada only, unfortunately, right now. But if you're Canadian, sign up. Powerplay.com. The link will be in the video description. It helps us, supports the show. If you want to support the show, and you get a chance to, check out the great options Power Play Sportsbook has.
And we talk about it all the time, how important it is to have your portfolio be expanded, have multiple books, multiple options. You find, you might find something that's off at Power Play that's a different number at another book, or vice versa, and you'll be able to adjust and then move from there.
No doubt. All right, great stuff. All right, Larry, we have shit days on this show too. Don't feel too bad, but I know it was a rough first debut for you last Wednesday, but that's in the past. How are you going to try to make up for it here tonight? You've got a bargain bin special, and you've got a best bet. We'll start with the bargain bin special of the night. Larry, what do you like?
Yeah, so this is a fun one. I think Nick Robertson of the Leafs, I think the potential for him to score against his hometown or home state team. He's a California kid. The Kings are in Toronto. He had such a good preseason. He hasn't really been connecting in the first 3 games for Toronto, but I think he'll be ramped up to play the Kings. I think he's a good bet to break through, and maybe the Power Play bookies are agreeing with me on that, because they actually lowballed him. He's only at plus 245 on Power Play, but luckily Ian, using the Bet Stamp app, like he mentioned, a great site.
We can get you plus 400 at Patano, plus 320.
Exactly, yeah.
With Nicky Robertson, yep.
So he just makes the cut for our the bargain bin special has to be plus 300. So yeah, if you're shopping around, there's some value in Nick Robertson. I think tonight's a night that he could break through. Just again with
I remember betting him last year, Larry. I remember betting Nick Robertson last year in LA. I think when they played the King. I don't think he scored that night, but the angle was very similar. He's playing against he's the team where he's a California kid. Now, this game's in Toronto, but, it's still a Kings team that he grew up. He went to all the Kings games. His family would go to a lot of Kings games. So it's still a solid angle. I think he's got it. And we know he had a great preseason. Has not translated into the regular season yet, the great preseason he had. But hopefully tonight he busts out for you.
Yeah, he's been getting a bit of Power Play time, too, a little bit. His Power Play minutes are up a little bit, at least on that second unit. So I think maybe he'll come through on the Power Play, if not at even strength. With, that line's kind of interesting with Holmberg and Pacioretty, or however they're doing those lines, but I definitely think Nick Robertson he's kind of due as well. And then as far as best bet goes, as far as value goes, Austin Matthews anytime goal scorer at minus 175. Not a lot of value, but I really do think that the fourth time's the charm as far as tonight he's due, and he's going to break through for his first goal in his fourth game, and maybe that's where I think Ian's onto something. He does score in bunches. Maybe the best bet should be you double down on Austin Matthews. You take him at 2+ goals, or even the hat trick. The hat trick bet could come through tonight if Big Stave Dave isn't on his game.
No doubt. And like I say, Austin Matthews, if you agree with Larry's thought process that he's going to break out tonight, don't just bet the anytime goal and lay the price. Go for the 2 goals. Go for the 3 goals. We've seen this, and Alex has seen. We've all seen this. When he busts out of a slump in one individual game, it's often a scoring in bunches type of game. He's not just going to get 1 to bust out of the slump in a game. He's going to get 2. He's going to get 3. And even in a couple of cases, maybe even 4. That's what he's capable of.
You can even look plus 650 for first goal scorer as well. It's available at FanDuel. So.
Yeah, no question about that. Great stuff. That's Larry Fisher. Power Play Sportsbook. We're going to have the link to sign up in the video description and on the Patreon page for our Patreon members. Make sure you sign up. Check them out. Give them a shot. Support the sportsbook. Support the sponsor. And you support the show and Alex and me and this great show we do 7 days a week in the process. Larry, awesome stuff. Enjoy the games and good luck tonight. Cash some tickets. And we'll see you again next Wednesday right here for the Betting Man Advantage.
Sounds good, guys. Enjoy the rest of the show.
All right, there you go. Larry Fisher, Power Play Sportsbook, with us each and every Wednesday right here on the Ice Guys for the Betting Man Advantage. All right, let's get into the Wednesday's games. We got 4. We will begin with Buffalo and Pittsburgh. The Pittsburgh Penguins minus 120 home favorites, 6 the total here in this game. Pittsburgh, look, didn't love what I saw with them against Montreal, being on Montreal that night, but I give them credit. 6 goals. They deserved that win. They were clearly the better team that night against the Montreal Canadiens. And offense they're averaging 3.5 goals per game, and that's despite being shut out by the New York Rangers and Igor Shesterkin in their first game. Since then, they've scored 6 in back-to-back games. So clearly, offense is not a problem right now for the Pittsburgh Penguins. I'm still worried about Jari. He did give up 3 goals against Montreal. One of them was he didn't track the puck. He kind of lost it going post to post, right to left, and a shot from the blue line went in on him. I didn't love that goal. I still have question marks about his consistency and his ability night in, night out in between the pipes. Can Buffalo take advantage of that? We know Buffalo was an offensive team that it didn't exactly light things up last year by any stretch of the imagination. It's a team that early in the 2 games against, really the first 3 games against Jersey and LA, 2 games in Czechia against New Jersey, and then the return home against LA, no offense to speak of, but they busted out against Florida with 5 in a nice 5-2 win over the Florida Panthers for their first win of the season. And I think the Sabres are certainly bolstered offensively by the return tonight of JJ Peterka. That's right. JJ Peterka is back tonight for the Buffalo Sabres. He's really become one of their more important offensive players and scorers. Coming off a 28-goal, 50-point season last year. Now he returns from the concussion. Will be back in the lineup after missing the last 2 games for this Sabres team. So obviously getting Peterka back in the lineup certainly helps. We'll see if the Sabres get a boost from that. I like Sabres team total over 2.5. You got to lay a little price here. I feel a little bit better than that, than trusting and I'm going to start doing this with Pittsburgh, Alex, because I am actually liking what I'm seeing from them offensively the last 2 games. They put up 6 in back-to-back against Detroit and Montreal. But I think Buffalo in this spot, good vibes, positive vibes. I know there was the dust up in practice and went viral between Rasmus Dahlin and Peyton Krebs. Let's not say, Buffalo's splintering at the seams from a dressing room standpoint and the team's, completely falling apart and they hate each other. No, that happens. How many times have we seen that shit in decades in the NHL in practice? Sometimes, feathers get ruffled, and when you're a big family, a hockey family as a team, sometimes there's going to be bickering. Sometimes there's going to be little, fracases here and there. And that's exactly what you saw there with the Krebs and Dahlin. To me, is no big deal. They brushed it off after the fact. They still say we're good buddies. I know there was a post Peyton Krebs was just totally, it's no big deal. Stuff like that's going to happen. It's not a big deal. It's actually, I think, a thing that could bolster the Sabres going into this game. But I don't want to take Buffalo money line because I don't know how they're going to hold up defensively against Pittsburgh scoring. I like what I'm seeing from them and at the offensive end. And I'm not exactly trusting Ukko Pekka Luukkonen picked a pack of pickled peppers right now for the Sabres with an .886 save percentage in his first 2 games. Hasn't been great in either of his first 2 starts for this Buffalo team. So I feel best about Buffalo team total over 2.5. I think taking a shot with that just to get to 3 goals. Keep in mind, Pittsburgh in the win against Montreal did allow 3 goals in that game. The Ranger game, obviously, they gave up 3 goals in that game as well. So Pittsburgh's been giving up 3 goals. Detroit scored 3. So the opponent has scored 3 goals in every Pittsburgh game this year. So that's why I feel good about the Buffalo team total over. I'd lean to the full game over too, but I don't love the history. I don't love that it's been really, really dominant to the under, especially the games in Pittsburgh between these 2 teams. So I'm very, very hesitant to take the full game over. But I lean that way. I much prefer the Sabres team total. You can get that over 2.5 minus 140. Alex, what do you think here? Sabres, Penguins.
This game's a total pass for me. Like I said, the history looks towards the under. I feel kind of like this could be an over kind of a game, and I'll be watching because it's the first of TNT games, so first of 2 on TNT, I should say. So I will be looking to see if we see the pace of an over game. I might look for something live, but Side-wise, yeah, I'm not really trusting the form of either one of these teams right now. I'm going to learn a little bit more about both these clubs. So it's going to be more of a game to watch, observe, and learn from. But if I see a fast pace, I'll look to try and grab a first period over or a full game over at a cheaper price and a better number.
Yeah, I think that's a good. It's more. It's only a little Sabres team total over and more props than anything else for me. I still like the anybody playing with Crosby to me all season long with this Pittsburgh Penguins team as far as props are concerned is going to be a pretty solid bet. Doesn't mean they're going to score every night, but you look at Beauvillier and even Beauvillier did score. Rust is back. That definitely helps the Penguins. So it's Beauvillier and Rust that are going to be flanking Sidney Crosby tonight on the top line. Bunting, Malkin, and Raquel. Drew O'Connor, I thought, did solid, but he's been dropped to the third line. I think you've got to take Lars Eller. Lars Eller has had a pretty solid start to the year offensively for the Pittsburgh Penguins, and he, of course, scored a couple against Montreal on Monday night. So Lars Eller might be some good value there as far as player props are concerned. On the Buffalo side, I like Peterka in his return. I do. He's just he's become a really good goal scorer in this league. I'm waiting for Tage Thompson and Quinn and Cousins, some of these guys. Ryan McLeod's had a very quiet start so far for the Buffalo Sabres, getting him from the Edmonton Oilers. We'll see if he can get rolling, but we'll see how it goes. But more than anything, I think J.J. Peterka is the one I'm going to target here for the Buffalo Sabres. But Jack Quinn, there is value. He is on the top 6. I don't mind that, but I think Peterka is the one I like the most here if I'm going to look at a Buffalo goal prop tonight. All right, next game, L.A.-Toronto. Kings and Leafs. We got the Toronto Maple Leafs minus 185 to minus 190 as home favorites here in this game. And the total sitting at 6.5 or 6, depending on which book you're looking at. So shop around. If you like over, get the 6. If you like under, get the 6.5. We just talked about with Larry with Power Play, the reason why we want you to sign up for Power Play Sportsbook, not just to support the show, but you want another book in your arsenal. You want as many outs and as many opportunities to be able to score, to be able to get the best number, the best line, the best price as possible. This game, I do lean to the under, actually, 6.5. And LA is not going to want anything close to what happened Monday versus Ottawa to transpire again. That game just got batshit crazy. Defense went out the window. There were a lot of mistakes, a lot of gaps, breakdowns, odd man rushes, turnovers, the whole bit in that LA-Ottawa game. That they don't want to duplicate that. That's not the LA Kings' MO to win hockey games this year, is play an 8-7 track meet. And, of course, they were on the losing end of it against the Ottawa Senators. But the problem with this is the same thing I said about the last LA game. And I know it flew over, but the reason I didn't love the under is because of the goaltending situation. I didn't trust Anton Forsberg. And here tonight, I don't trust Big Siv Dave Riddick. Could he play well? Now, he is against one of his old teams. He was a Toronto Maple Leaf for half a season. Previously Calgary, other teams, Nashville. So he's going to want to play well, return to Toronto. I get that. And every once in a while, he pulls a rabbit out of the hat. And all of a sudden, whoa, where did that come from? 1 goal, 38 saves? He's done that once in a while, Riddick. He has, but he doesn't do it enough. And there's more bad than good, usually when it comes to Dave Riddick. But I think the team in front of him is certainly going to try, Alex, to make life easier for him, because they know they can't give up 8 goals. You can't play that kind of shinny pond hockey and expect to win games. LA is not going to be satisfied with that defensive effort against Ottawa on Monday afternoon. So you got to believe they're definitely going to be more focusing on tightening it up, shutting things down. And you look at this Toronto team, Alex, that's exactly where their focus has been most of the season so far. Craig Berube, all training camp, what do we hear from him? Defense and structure and compete level and backtracking, back-checking. Both ends of the ice, 200-foot game. It's all the buzzwords he used to try to get this Toronto team to play with some structure, to be able to protect leads, which now they've been able to do 2 games in a row. The New Jersey game and, of course, the Pittsburgh game. When they got the lead, they shut it down, and they kept the lead. They didn't give it up. They didn't blow it for a change. That's positive for this Leafs team moving forward. Real signs of growth and maturity. And it's buying into this Craig Berube system that we're going to shut it down and we're going to be responsible. Put the puck in good areas, safe areas of the ice when we have a lead. We don't have to make the gamble. We don't have to make the high-risk play. We don't have to try that stretch pass when we're up a goal or 2. We don't have to do that anymore. We can play good, sound, structured defense, and that's going to be our pathway to win hockey games this year. And that's the way it's been for Toronto. Toronto, this season, from a total standpoint, I still think even after the 8-7 insanity against Ottawa, that we're going to see LA definitely be a under team moving forward. I still think they're going to kind of be that way, like the game against Boston and the game against Buffalo was prior to that Ottawa game. Meanwhile, you look at the Leafs, 3 games this season, 3-0 to the under. And I'm not shocked. I said all along, this is not going to be your old Leafs where it's 6-5 and 5-4 every night. They are really going to be, I think, improved and focused on being good in their own end. And we're seeing that. Not only are they 3-0 to the under, they're actually, I believe, 2 of the 3 games, the first period went under the total as well. The only over between first period and full game for Toronto so far this year was that New Jersey game, where it went over the total in the first period, but it stayed under for the full game. So full game and first period first period and full game unders combined this year for Toronto are 5-1 in the 3 games, first period and full game unders. Not your old Leafs, right? From 2-3 years ago when they were getting in 6-5 games every night. So I actually do have a lean to the under here in this game, but I have fear about Riddick. I don't know what Riddick we're getting, but I still think it's going to be an under. I do, because they're going to protect Riddick too. When you give up 8 goals, you're going to try to make sure you make life easier on him, make sure that he sees more routine shots, routine saves than the high danger quality type of saves. And if they can do that, LA, play good in front of him, he might be good enough to keep Toronto at bay at least a little bit. And meanwhile, I don't know if Toronto's going to light up or if LA is going to light up Toronto's defense either. And Stoley, the goalie, confirmed in net for the Leafs. He's been great. Absolutely terrific to start the year. This guy's legit. The more I watch Anthony Stolarz, the more I think this guy's legit. He could be someone that's going to be a bona fide, solid, steady, strong NHL netminder, because he has not had any blip or drop from the great season he had backing up goalie Bob down there in Florida last year. So it's been a very good start for Stolarz. I lean under. Didn't bet that. What I did bet, though, in this game, it's a sleepy environment, middle of the week. Here we go, LA. Now, in the past, Toronto's been in for trouble in games like this. That's what I'm trying to say. They've had these nights, middle of the night, quiet environment. That place is going to be dead silent in Scotiabank Arena unless they score. It's LA. It's the middle of the week on a Wednesday night. These are the games that have tripped up Toronto in years past. I don't know if it trips them up tonight. Like, I'm not on LA. I think Toronto can win this game, but I still think in the pit of my gut, it's not going to be an easy game for them. And I can see them needing overtime to decide this game. So I'm going to take a small shot with the draw here with the Kings and the Leafs tonight. And by the way, the Kings back-to-back games for them have gone past regulation, the game against Boston and the game against Ottawa. So the only thing I have in this game, side or total or otherwise, is a small shot with the draw here. Kings and Leafs, lean under, not betting it though. Alex, Kings, Leafs.
Yeah, I am with you on the draw. Like I said, it's always a good look with both of these teams. These are 2 teams that routinely play past regulation and have done so over the last couple of years. So I'm on the draw, but I like that first period over. Like I said, I don't trust in David Riddick. And I also believe that Toronto, like I said, they understand that they need to get the offense rolling at home early. Like I said, that's the only way you can get that crowd activated to somewhat of a noisy level. And like I said, when you got a guy like Austin Matthews who's been on the scoring slide, I think we see some pace and pressure early from Toronto. And I can see where Toronto maybe gets both of the goals there, but I'm just going to lay that 130 and go with the over 1.5 along with the draw.
Yeah, Landon bringing the. I'm not surprised about that. David Riddick's numbers against the Leafs are actually solid. 2.44 goals against, 920. That's what I kind of thought it was. I think he's played more good than bad. That he's played against, whether it was with Calgary, whether it was with Nashville, all the teams he's been with, he's actually shown up pretty decently against.
He's made
Toronto.
saves, but he's lost 4 of the 7 meetings. And then when you look at Anthony Stolarz, he's actually 0-3-1 against the LA Kings, which that's significant because those are mostly games that he's played when he was a member of the Anaheim Ducks.
Yeah, so that's a lot of Anaheim in that history.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is something to note, because Anaheim Anthony Stolarz was not and is not, in my opinion, Anthony Stolarz of Florida and Toronto. He's become a much better goalie since then.
No, here's the thing. He was fantastic in Anaheim. They were such a bad team. He was playing lights out.
Oh, they didn't give him the run support, you're saying.
They just didn't give him the goals. So, form-wise, Anaheim Stars has actually been the best Stars. But obviously, he had better numbers in Florida with a winning team, and we'll see what he does now with Toronto, a much better team, but still having some issues at times.
Yeah, this is the game of all the four tonight that I think if there's going to be one that's a little tighter, lower scoring, I think it's this one. No question about that. As far as props go, I mean, I don't have a ton. I mean, I know Larry likes Robertson. I don't mind taking a shot because he's playing against a team that he grew up cheering for. And he's on the second line with Tavares and Holmberg tonight because Willie Nylander's actually out, I believe, with an illness. It's important to point that out. Although it's a game-time decision. Apparently, they updated it at the morning skate, and they say he still hasn't been ruled out completely. But we may not see William Nylander tonight for Toronto. For LA, though, I think as far as goal props, Matthew Nyes to me continues to have good value as long as he stays with Marner and Matthews on the top line. I would always consider looking at a goal prop for him. Laferriere with Kopitar and Kempe as far as goal props that might be worth a look. Even Warren Fogle, I think down on the third line. He had some good chances the other day against Ottawa, so some options there that I'd maybe consider for goal props in this one. All right, next up, we've got the Boston Bruins and the Colorado Avalanche. Colorado, minus 135 home favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. And we just found this out about an hour before the show. Tells you all you need to know about either they don't have faith in Justus Ononen and Jared Bednar at this point, or they are just desperate to get some kind of, positivity going with Alexander Georgiev, who's had a nightmarish start to the season because it is back to Georgiev once again, even though the struggles continue for the Russian netminder, and it has been a dismal season for him. There's no doubt. And look, he's been not good enough, but the blue line in front of him has been just as culpable in this. Cale Makar, man, has screwed up in his own end so many times this year. We know he's good, but he is just not making the smart winning plays in his own end, turning the puck over, coughing it up too much. They are not helping out Georgiev. Georgiev stinks right now, but the blue line's not that much better. They are just making way too many gaffes, way too loose in their own zone. Penalty kill hasn't been very good either. It's just a whole bunch of issues right now for Colorado as well. They've given up 3 power play goals in their last 3 games. They've given up 6 or more in all 3 games. 6 to the Islanders, 6 to the Jackets, 8 to the Vegas Golden Knights in the first 3 games of the season. So they are just in a complete and utter tailspin as far as anything defense, goaltending, team defense, and the goals against are through the roof. Meanwhile, you've got the Boston Bruins. Can't say I love their defensive game on a consistent night-to-night basis. They gave up 6 in their opener in Florida. They gave up 4 to the Montreal Canadiens in Swayman's first start. They did shut down LA. It was a nice, tidy, clean 2-1 win. But then Monday against Florida, they lose that game by a score of 4-3. And Swayman's he's working his way back. You can tell this is not vintage sharp on top of his game. Jeremy Swayman yet. His goals against is almost 3. His save percentage really isn't that great so far this year. I assume it's going to be Swayman tonight in net for the Boston Bruins. But again, he's a guy that's, I think, trying to find his footing. This is a guy that didn't have any training camp. This is a guy that didn't play any preseason games. And so he's not going to be, on top of his game right away by any stretch of the imagination. And we're kind of seeing that right now for this Boston team. And even their defense. Look, defense this year, it's always been the calling card of this Bruins team, but they have had their games where they've looked off. The Florida first game was not good at all. Even the Montreal game, there were some gaffes that led to some of those Canadiens goals. Monday, they give up 4 once again. So this collective blue line has also not really done the job consistently either. Last year, these teams, of course, played each other twice. First period overcashed, full game overcashed in both of those games. So where do you think I'm going in this game? Yep. This is your over trifecta of the night. Both teams to score first period, over 1.5 first period, over 6.5. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Over bifectas, over trifectas are just coming through in spades, night in, night out with Colorado so far this season. We've been cashing with them. We ain't stopping until things change. Alex, what do you think here? Bruins, Avs.
I have to quickly correct you. Alexander Georgiev is Bulgarian, not Russian. He is the first.
I was going to say, I always screw that up. I always call him Russian. I do. He's
know.
Bulgarian. You're 100% right.
The name sounds Russian, but he is Bulgarian. So give him props. He's the first native of Bulgaria to make it to the NHL, and he might be the one of one for a while based on how he's been playing lately. But it's not his fault. We've been saying this ad nauseum. Jared Bednar's running him through the gauntlet for whatever reason. If you don't trust Justus Annunen, then why did you give him an extension for another 3 years? It's just baffling how this team is still stuck in 2002, this franchise, and they're trying to run a goalie 70 games, knowing that he's just not doesn't have the form. Even if he had the form to play 70 games here on out, he doesn't have the form right now. You should not be starting him right now. But if you don't trust Annunen, then you have to run this one goalie into the ground. So we'll just keep continuing to bet against him until they give him the rest, and then we'll bet against Annunen as well, because if they keep sitting him, how is he going to get any better just sitting on the bench watching this guy? He's not.
I lean Bruins too, but why I like the overs more is because I don't love where Boston's defensive game as a team is right now. Really,
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the first period over. I love both teams to score. I will try and be a little greedy here and grab a better price and number of the 4-game over end game. But already on that first period over, already on both teams to score. I think we definitely see some scoring early in this.
Yeah, last year, again, Boston, Colorado. 2 meetings, of course. They're East versus West teams, so they only play each other twice. Once in Boston, once in Colorado. Both of those games last year, the first period over cashed and the full game over cashed in both of those games last year. And now we think both teams defensively are even in worse shape right now than they were at those times last year. But, look, I ain't laying a penny with Colorado as a favorite, especially. So if you had to bet aside, I lean Boston. But like I said, I don't love what I'm seeing. Swayman's not in a form yet, coming off the no training camp and no preseason games. He's still working his way back into form. He's not all the way there yet. And then it goes without saying the Boston blue line has struggled in front of him, especially. And the one thing about Colorado is they still have offense. They can score. I wouldn't shock me to see Colorado light it up tonight, but no way we're trusting Colorado on D or Georgiev right now until things change.
I do have a bargain bin playing in this contest. So.
Yeah, Nick, there's always those games once in a while. It seems like it's dead nuts over, and it does stay. It doesn't happen all the time. There's a lot of these games where, look, it's also several examples of has all the markings of an over, and it still does go over. So you got to bet what your eyes see. And what my eyes see are 2 below average defensive teams and a goalie in Swayman that's going to be really good in time, but he's not in his best form right now. This is the time to get him. And then Georgiev, who knows if he'll ever find his form, at this point. That's where we're at with him right now.
And even if Korpisalo gets the start, do we trust Korpisalo? No.
He only gave up 6, in that first game of the year against Florida. Although they hung him out. That first period they hung him out to dry, too. It's not all on him, but he wasn't great. And then there was that one goal in the second period he should have had, in my opinion. So, like I said, to me, you have to bet what your eyes see, and the eyes see 2 teams that can score and really can't keep it out right now with the Bruins and the Avs. As far as goal props in this game, middle stat for Colorado, I like what I see. Whoever's playing with McKinnon and Rantanen on the top line, I believe is going to be certainly live and a good price from a value standpoint to score a goal tonight in this game. I'm looking at it right now for Colorado. Ross Colton is the latest tabbed by Jared Bednar. It's a revolving door. And you're seeing right now, Alex, crystal clear why this team misses Arturi Lehkonen and why this team misses Big Val Nichushkin with his stupidity. Yeah. Because, you look at Big Val is the automatic to be on that top line. And even if he's not there, Lehkonen's a nice plan B to play on that top line with McKinnon and Rantanen. You have neither of those guys right now, and he's scrambling right now. Musical chairs. It's like Rolodex with that left wing top line spot. Is it Colton? Is it Wood? Is it Kovalenko? He's going from one spot to the next, and he's going to give Ross Colton the shot there tonight. I actually don't mind that. Ross Colton plays hard. He gets in on the forecheck. Maybe he can find some chemistry with Nate and with Mikko on that top line, but there's definitely value on Ross Colton now up on that top line tonight.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, Kovalenko got sent down. Rich, good call on that. I don't even see him on the. Yeah, he must have, because I don't even see him on the the line combos anymore. So, and plus Drouin, there's Drouin as well. You got 3 surefire options to be on that top line, flanking McKinnon and Rantanen, Nichushkin, Lehkonen, and Drouin, and none of them are available right now for the Avs. So that's why, he's scrambling right now, Jared Bednar, to find an option. And now it hurts your depth at this point in time. So keep that in mind. But, Miles Wood, Parker Kelly, Logan O'Connor, Ivan, Yoel Kiviranta. The options are thin in the bottom 6 right now for the Colorado Avalanche. So you're going to have to hope like hell Rantanen and McKinnon can carry this team a little bit. I'll throw one more, too. Callum Ritchie. Callum Ritchie scored his first NHL goal on Monday, and he's on the second line. So I would say Colton and Ritchie for Colorado would be my favorite 2 props on their side. For Boston, Pavel Zacha is always worth a look. Pasternak's going to get going eventually. Is tonight maybe going to be the night? I'm seeing that Trent Frederick's up on the second line, so he's getting bumped up a little bit. Matt Patra is being inserted, it looks like, into the team the last couple of games. He got an assist against L.A., played against Florida. He's going to center the third line for the Bruins. We'll see if he can maybe chip something in because I think there's some value there. So those are some of the Bruins props I'd maybe look at here in this game as well. All right, final game for this Wednesday slate, Utah Hockey Club taking on the Anaheim Ducks. Utah minus 150. Road favorites, the total 6 in this one. And this is another example of schedule maker shit show from the NHL. How do you do this to a team, really? It's first week of the year, and we've already got, schedule makers really putting the team behind the 8 ball. You've got Utah playing this 3-game road trip in the East, right? Devils, Islanders, and Rangers, the Tri-City area trifecta there. Rangers, Devils, Islanders, the New York area teams. Monday afternoon against New Jersey, and you got them now flying all the way coast to coast and playing just 48 hours later, a little more than that, against Anaheim, I think, before you finally return them home. It's just a very, very tricky spot. And I love Utah, you know that, but I ain't laying minus 150 with them in this spot, given what the schedule has lined out up for them. And keep in mind, after this, it looks like they are going to, they're going to return home after this the game, face the team that they just played, but this time they'll get them in their building. Actually, no, it's Boston coming up with the Utah Hockey Club, October 19th. So that's going to be on Saturday. So they return home after this for a 3-game homestand. This is just one of those spots where it's a long road trip. They looked a little weary on Monday. They didn't look like they had that energy. It looked like the Ranger game, which was a barn burner, up and down, 6-5 win over the Rangers. That kind of looked like it zapped a lot of energy from them Monday afternoon against New Jersey. They just didn't have that crispness. Passes weren't clicking. Finish wasn't there. Credit to Jake Allen. He was a big part of it. His goaltending in that game for the New Jersey Devils was really, really good. But at the same point in time, you could just see Utah was not all that sharp, not on top of their game like we've seen from them, certainly in the past. Meanwhile, you got this Anaheim team that they're a mystery to me. They beat San Jose 2-0. I don't think it's a big deal because, the Sharks are the Sharks. I thought they were solidly competitive against the Vegas Golden Knights, 3-1, but they did get shut down in that game. We'll see how they fare bouncing back here at home against Utah. And again, you're talking about now an Anaheim team. They have not played since Sunday. All they got to do is travel back from Vegas to Anaheim and sit there for 2 days and get ready for this home game. And meanwhile, you got Utah having to fly coast to coast from a Monday afternoon to a Wednesday evening turnaround. I could only look at Anaheim here. I think Utah's the better team. I don't love betting Utah off a shutout loss. We talked about that angle, the shutout loss angle. I don't love fading teams coming off a shutout loss, especially capable teams like the Utah Hockey Club. But I'm not laying minus 150. I'm going to go with that angle. We've got one team here coming off a shutout loss. Anaheim not coming off a shutout loss, but damn close. 1 goal scored against Vegas. This angle, I think, is going to be something to go with, something that's got real legs to it, real traction to it. Betting first period, full game overs in games where you got teams that got shut down in the previous game offensively. I really think there's something to this. We saw it with Seattle, Nashville. We're seeing it maybe tonight with Utah, Anaheim. Utah got shut out, blanked by New Jersey. Anaheim only got 1 goal against Vegas. Both teams, what are their focus going to be? We got to get the offense going. We can't score. We can't win when we get shut out. If you're Utah, we can't win if we only score one goal. If we're Anaheim coming off the Vegas game, so I like first period over, full game over by Fecta here with Utah and with Anaheim. My one fear is, gosh, I think the world of Dostal, and I worry that guy's going to be the thorn in our backside here with maybe the first period and the full game overs, because he's a really good goalie. He's only getting better. He was terrific in the San Jose game, obviously, in that one, and it wouldn't shock me to see him play well again tonight. He is confirmed in net. It should be Ingram for Utah, but not confirmed, but you would expect it would be Ingram. The only reason Vejmelka got the start Monday against New Jersey is because it was, I think, the end of the road trip, the end of the eastern part of the trip, and they wanted to give Ingram a little bit of a rest. So lean Anaheim, but I'm going to, just based on the spot and the price, but I like the first period full game over by Fecta here. My only concern is Dostal. That guy's really good, and I hope he's maybe a little off his game for a change tonight. But either way, that angle makes sense. Two teams that got shut down and or shut out in their last game, focusing in on getting their offense going tonight. It worked out perfectly with Seattle-Nashville last night, this theory, this angle. Hopefully it does tonight as well. Alex, what do you think here? Utah, Anaheim.
Yeah, I back that angle too. I like it's a smaller first period over, but I don't like the full game over, like you said, with Lucas Dostal in net. And I think this is an incredible price to be getting with him in net, and considering the travel situation for Utah. I like Anaheim here. I grabbed him at plus 115 last night, and I was expecting that was the number that would be there because of Dostal. But now at plus 130, I really like this spot a lot here for Anaheim. So I'm going heavier on the money line price with Anaheim than I am that first period over. But I did grab a little bit of piece of that over 1.5 minus 128 available at FanDuel.
Gosh, I'm all right. I'm in with Anaheim plus 136 at Bet Online. It's even higher than some of the other books. At that price, I've got to snag a piece of it. It's just a really, really tough situation for Utah. You know, with the 3 games in the East and now coming all the way back to the West Coast. And they're good, but, you know, and I like it. I like Utah as much as anybody. How many people have been singing praises as much as yours truly, Ian Cameron, about Utah Hockey Club and how much he thinks they can contend for the playoffs and maybe even get into the playoffs? The fact remains, this is a horrible spot for anybody. And I don't know if they should be this kind of a favorite in a spot like this. And while I like them and they're improved, now they're in a different stratosphere from a pricing standpoint. Minus 150 road favorite. When's the last time we've seen Utah minus 150 road favorite? You know, right? When they were even in Arizona last year. Was there any instance when they were a minus 150 road favorite? Probably not often.
Nope.
Probably count on one hand, maybe even one finger, how many times they were a minus 150 road favorite last year. So, yeah, there's definitely reasons to like Anaheim in this spot and at this price. As far as goal props are concerned, Gunther, Keller, I think Cooley's going to be bound to pot one maybe eventually. Doan as well, potentially for Utah. And then for Anaheim, Gauthier is coming close. I think it's going to maybe hit for him very soon. There's great value. Zegras hasn't really clicked yet this year, but you're getting now better prices with him. He's not going to stay off the score sheet forever for the Anaheim Ducks. So, you know, there is definitely some value there with Zegras as his, you know, a little early season swoon, but nothing to panic about by any stretch of the imagination. Robbie Fabry playing with McTavish and Zegras, there's some value. And Frank Vetrano, Frank the Tank, down on the third line. He's been always one of the better, more consistent scorers that, you know, Anaheim's had since he's been a member of the Anaheim Ducks. So, like I said, yeah, for me, I would not want Anaheim first period, Jeff. Great question. These teams, when they're this travel situation, sometimes they do have their legs in the first. Like I could see Utah having their legs in the first period. And then second and third period, you know, as the game goes on and the miles creep up, the games and the minutes on ice creep up, you know, second, third period tonight, that's maybe when they lose their legs a little bit, hit a bit of a physical wall. I could see that. That's typically my experience watching and betting the sport for decades now. Same with Alex, where the travel teams, whether it's back-to-back, long travel, first period, the legs are there. Oftentimes legs give out and they just, you know, lose more puck battles as the game goes on.
Yeah.
So that's basically the way I'd kind of think of for Utah tonight. Maybe they have their legs early, but those legs might fade gradually as the game goes on here tonight with the Utah Hockey Club as they take on Anaheim. Great stuff. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. Patreon.com/IceGuys. Make sure you sign up. My first set of power ratings for the season will be posted later today on the page. So check that out. Patreon.com. We got 1 week of data now. We've moved some teams up. Obviously, Utah is one of those teams we've moved up significantly. Find out where I've put them in my current first set of power ratings later today. Patreon.com/IceGuys. Just $10 per month. Goalie charts, totals charts, my power ratings, the daily betting card, sides, totals, player props, the bargain bin specials, and the best bets posted each and every day. Patreon.com on the page. Patreon.com/IceGuys. Exclusive live betcasts. Still our season preview videos. I know the season started, but if you want to go back and check them out, we had great guests for the season preview videos, for the team previews. Check those out. Player Suite interviews from over the summer as well. Make sure you check all those out. Patreon.com/IceGuys, $10 per month. And also as the season goes on, we will have exclusive live betcasts for Patreon members only as well. So sign up, just $10 per month. You support the show by doing so. Patreon.com/IceGuys.
Yeah, Ian will have his power rankings up. I will have my goalie charts updated later tonight as well over there at Patreon. But also check out the Ice Guys store over at iceguys.myspreadshop.com. Got a coupon code coming up pretty soon, so check that out. Get some things maybe in your cart now and wait for that code to pop up coming up this weekend. We got everything in stock, everything except the coffee mugs. Coffee mug is the only thing that right now is out of stock. But everything else, clothing wise, is all in. So grab it now. iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
All right, great stuff. Make sure you check out the Ice Guys store. A lot of great merch. Brewski. Brewski's one of our favorites, but I'm trying to understand. Mason Lowry is on the top line. He's a defenseman. Brewski. He's a You'd mean top pair on the blue line, I think is what you mean, probably with that. He's a defenseman. Yeah, I mean, I as you know, I veer more toward forwards with the props. But he's going to get minutes on the top pair tonight for the Boston Bruins. That's always worth a shot, or it's something to consider for sure. Let me just see what that means for him on the power play. Is he going to get power play? I don't see him on any of the power play units though. So while he might be moving up to the top pair, I don't know if Jim Montgomery is going to put him up on the power play. Doesn't look like it. So keep that in mind. But interesting point. All right, good stuff. Hit the like button. Make sure you do that if you haven't done so already, watching on YouTube. And we appreciate everyone watching on all the platforms too, Facebook and as well, YouTube and Twitter X as well. And by the way, Twitter X Premium is what you need apparently to stream. So that's why on the Ice Guys YouTube, I have premium on my personal Twitter X. So what we do is we retweet the live Twitter X video broadcast of the show on the Ice Guys feed. I'll just repost what I've got from mine. So that's what we'll do probably moving forward, so that the people that go to the Ice Guys Twitter X account can watch the show on Twitter X as well throughout the course of the season. And yes, Betcast next Tuesday. Yes, Tuesday, October 22nd. Frozen Frenzy, 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central, the start of that Betcast next Tuesday. We can't wait. We're going to go all night too, through the entire night, right to the end of the last game. So we're going to make a marathon first Betcast of the season out of it. We'll have our intermissions too and our little breaks, where we got to have dinner breaks and all that, Alex and I. But it will be on most of the night, and I can't wait. That's going to be a fun Betcast. We're going to let her rip that night as far as whooping it up a little bit, because we're probably planning it right now based on the way the NHL schedule goes surrounding next Tuesday. We might be without a show Monday and Wednesday next week, and that's going to give us the chance to really have a lot of fun with that Betcast Tuesday night.
Yeah, we'll keep everyone posted. There'll be some schedule changes that'll come up leading into next week, of course. But yeah, looking forward to that. They're always a lot of fun. And like you said, we've been talking about this idea for years, and the NHL finally put it together last year. It was a blast, and that's how we kicked off the Betcast season last year. So we're doing it again this one.
Yeah, can't wait. Frozen Frenzy, the first Ice Guys live Betcast of the season. Free for all. This one is not a Patreon exclusive. It's free for all next Tuesday, October 22nd, starting at 6 p.m. Eastern. All right, bargain bin special of the night and best bets coming up right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Support for the Ice Guys podcast is provided by Boston Hemp Incorporated, Manscaped, Power Play Sportsbook, Raise Your Game, Tailgater Sofa, and a big thank you to all that subscribe to the Ice Guys Patreon page. Everyone loves a perfect pair. Bacon and eggs. Thunder and lightning. Mario and Luigi. A hot dog with fries. Ian and Alex B. That's right. Everyone loves a perfect pair. So why not pair up your game nights with Boston Hemp? From exotic flower to concentrates and edible products. You'd be hard-pressed to find a better pairing than Boston Hemp and hockey. Check them out today at bostonhempinc.com. That's bostonhempinc.com. Boston Hemp Incorporated, the official smoke sponsor of the Ice Guys. Void where prohibited by law. Not available outside of the United States. Must be 21 or over to obtain products. Check your local regulations to see if Boston Hemp is available in your area.
All right. Thanks, as always, to all our Ice Guys show sponsors. We really appreciate them all. Manscaped, Tailgate Social, Power Play Sportsbook, and, of course, Boston Hemp Inc. 20% off using the promo code Ice Guys at bostonhempinc.com. All right. Bargain bin special of the night. And, ooh-wee, was it nice to see two bargain bin specials cash in last night. Matt Robinson with Ty Dellandrea, upwards of 10-1 for San Jose. Nick Foligno, captain of the Chicago Blackhawks, plus 400 or better with his goal prop. See if we can keep the momentum going with the bargain bin special tonight. Alex, what do you like in the bargain bin?
Yeah, let's head out to Denver. We got the game at Boston taking on Colorado, and looking at another centerman to hopefully get the job done in the bargain bin. Charlie Coyle, plus 460 is available at FanDuel. Anytime goal scorer for the Boston Bruins tonight. Like I said, we think some guys are going to be able to get some goals. That's Georgiev, who is just absolutely worked down to the bone. I think plus 60 is a good price. So Charlie Coyle, anytime goal scorer for the Boston Bruins. That's my bargain bin special for this Wednesday.
All right, there you go. Charlie Coyle for the Boston Bruins, plus 465 for Alex with his bargain bin special of the night. For my bargain bin special of the night, I'm going to cut my teeth on something a little different. Cutter Gauthier for the Anaheim Ducks. I really feel it tonight for him. You got a very jet-lagged, potentially fatigued, sluggish, maybe defensively susceptible Utah Hockey Club coming into the building tonight. He's definitely had his looks. He's definitely had his chances early in the season. He's getting opportunity, of course, right up there on the top line. So he's going to get every opportunity at his disposal. And the one thing we saw it with Matvei Mishkov last night for the Philadelphia Flyers. These young kids aren't going to be goalless forever. You know, they're eventually going to pot one. And I think you're going to see one maybe as early as tonight for Cutter Gauthier with the opportunity and a potentially, you know, I could see Utah making some mistakes with the puck tonight. Again, it's been a grueling road trip, a really tricky spot for them. And at FanDuel, there's plus 410 with Cutter Gauthier to score a goal tonight. So it's really good value. I'm going to go with the Boston College product, Cutter Gauthier, Anaheim Ducks, to get his first NHL goal tonight, plus 410 for the Anaheim Ducks. That'll be my bargain bin special of the night. All right, best bets for this Wednesday night. Alex, we'll go to you. What do you like for best bet?
Yeah, we'll head out to Toronto and run, don't walk to grab this number. Over 1.5, minus 135 at Caesars. It's moving. It was at 130 earlier, but we're seeing 135s and 140s. That first period over with Toronto and the LA Kings. Go first period over 1.5, minus 135. That's my best bet.
All right, there you go. LA Kings, Toronto Maple Leafs over 1.5 first period. And like I said, there's only been 1 out of 3. Like I said, the only over that's hit for the Leafs this year was a first period over against New Jersey. Nothing full game has gone over the total. But Alex likes the first period over tonight with the LA Kings and the Toronto Maple Leafs for his best bet. My best bet, clearly it's going to be one of the 3 portions of the over trifecta that I like quite a bit with the Bruins and the Avalanche. But I'm going to go with just the full game over. 6.5, minus 120. Hard not to. I mean, the Avs are an over machine right now. They can still score, but their defense and their goaltending is miserable right now. And like I said, Jeremy Swayman's not at his best right now. He's a guy that's not in his best form with the lack of training camp, lack of preseason reps. And I think you're seeing that. So I think both teams find the back of the net. Boston and both team games last year as well flew over the total, both first period and full game over. I think we see more of the same here. Boston, Colorado, over 6.5, minus 120 for my best bet here for this Wednesday NHL card. That's a wrap. Shout out to everyone and appreciate you joining us once again for another edition of the Ice Guys. Hit the like button if you're watching on YouTube on the way out. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Wednesday night. Enjoy the games and good luck, and we will be back tomorrow on Thursday with us two and Matt Robinson back in the house as well, coming up on Thursday for another edition of the Ice Guys.